Hello, good afternoon and welcome to my humble Moderoy, Bedstead Junction. It's Friday afternoon and we're about to be looking at least a couple of trains until the 30 minutes runs out. We'll try and get it all fitted in at that time. Now, the first train we'll be looking at this afternoon is a Doone single. Just about to set off from the station over there. It's over in the country station in good company with two other locomotives as well. Okay, so let's get her underway a second. I will explain to you something about the model. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have a view of the Lorna Doone going through the country station. We don't very often get a view of the country station over there, along with the station halt. Now the Doone single were called this because they got a single set of driving wheels. And back in the Victorian era, it was considered that the single wheeler was the best locomotive for speed. Some designers even thought that a coupled locomotive wouldn't be able to run as fast as a single wheeler. They were thinking that the coupling rods would form some kind of impediment to the progress of the train. In fact, I think one designer actually sort of likened coupled locomotives as somebody trying to run with his trousers down. But anyway, well, that's why they were designed like this. Now, William Doone actually built these in the late 1800s, and he was chief mechanical engineer from the 1870s up through to 1902 when Churchward took over. Now yes, these were very, very fast locomotives and gave up good speeds and good performances. They can be seen on such prestige trains as the Flying Dutchman, and you can see it's actually pulling Doone design coaches, Clerestory coaches, and they're the ones with the extra row of windows along the top, you can see. And they're designed like that because they're actually lit by gas. Now, one of the reasons people had to move away from single wheelers was not because the locomotives couldn't manage the speed, because they were very rapid, but it was the actual ability to pull the heavier and heavier trains. Now obviously you can only get so much power through one set of driving wheels, even if they're 7 feet in diameter, like this particular one. They're not the biggest wheeled locomotives around. I think the biggest, amongst the biggest, was a design by James Pearson from the Bristol and Exeter Railway, and that one actually had 9 feet driving wheels. Okay, so that's sort of a brief kind of resume of the single wheelers. You see this one whizzing around the track. As far as it being a model is concerned, this is made by Hornby, and there is still one available today. It's called Achilles. In fact, they were the Achilles class, and they have come in various train sets before, complete with the Clerestory coaches. But I actually bought these Clerestory coaches separate. Okay. Now, what we're doing a bit of an experiment today, in that we're actually using a gorilla pod to actually mount the camera rather than a tripod, and that will hopefully give me some more room, but it will be a little bit of a jar if I were to move the tripod direction. So you can see I'm having to pick the whole thing up now to bring it over to the other line, so we can see the train coming towards us. Okay, so there we are. So now we can see Lorna Doone coming towards us. Now, Lorna Doone is the name of a novel written by an author called Blackmore, and it was actually set in Exmoor country, in locations such as Porlock. And the Doones were a renegade family, actually residing in Exmoor, and they were literally a bunch of outlaws. It's basically a romantic novel, and being romance being one of the things that the Victorians were looking for. They were looking for picturesque, romance and adventure. And of course Lorna Doone would have helped inspire many people to take to the tracks in the Victorian era. Now this particular locomotive different from some of the other of the Hornby style single wheelers. Now this one does not have traction tyres. So if you buy one of these, you need to keep the wheels absolutely clean. Otherwise the wheels will spin furiously without the locomotive going anywhere. Okay, one of the drawbacks of the model, I'm afraid. But as you can see, it's putting a 3-coach train of classic coaches quite easily. Now, being a single wheeler, like I said, there would have been limitations eventually as to what weight of train this actual locomotive could pull. And bearing in mind that when you got beyond Newton Abbot towards the West Country, then the line would begin to encounter a number of hills. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring our Lorna Doone into the station, and we'll have a little closer look at her in just a moment as well. Okay, so the next thing you'll see is the train stopping up on the platform there, sorry, up on the signal. We'll just bring her in, and we're going to actually bring her into the station now. Okay, so in she comes. Now, being the single wheeler, one of the questions you'll probably ask is, what's she like on points? Well, here's your answer. Over the points, no problem at all. Watch her gliding into the station, and we'll just take a look at her when she's actually in the station. There we are, so she stops now. Now, one of the reasons why this locomotive is able to stop so well is because it's got a set of pickups on the leading wheels. I'm not sure if the old triangle order of the Isles had such a thing. And you can see it's actually named Lorna Doone there. Great Western. It's got the copper cap chimney. It's got a dome instead of the brass safety valve cover. You can see that how that differs from the later locomotive. I think you'll find the safety valve covers further back there now. And then you've got the whistles are actually at the front of the cab. Sorry about the slightly unsteady camera work. This is all handheld at the moment, so I get a chance to put the tripod down. Now the next locomotive we're going to look at is a further development of the express passenger locomotive, and you'll see her reversing out to the station in just a few moments' time. Now the locomotive you can see reversing out of the station at the moment is another Hornby locomotive, and it's a Saint class, and it's Saint David. Okay, so we're just going to change the points for her. The Saint David hasn't been running a while, so I think it will loosen up as we go. So we'll just give her a little run, and we'll take her around the tracks and see how she goes. Okay, so quick change of points. And a change of controller. Now she will loosen up as she goes. I'm going handheld for now on this particular one. I'm just going to give her a little bit more speed in just a moment. This is a Hornby model that came out in about 1986. Okay, and you'll see she'll gradually respond to the controller a little bit more now. There we are, so she's going quite well now. Some of these older locomotives do take a while to warm up. You see it's running very, very well now. The Saint class. Now this is designed by Deane's successor, George Jackson Churchward, and he became chief mechanical engineer of the Great Western Railway in 1902. Now Churchward had already been working under Deane, and then when Deane actually William Deane actually passed away, Churchward took on the helm as chief mechanical engineer, and this is one of his designs, the Saints class. Now Churchward was faced with a number of different problems. One was the increased weights of trains. There was also a need for speed, a perpetual need for speed, and also competition from other railways. There was a competition in place between different railways. Now the nearest and most deadly rival to the Great Western Railway was the Southern. Now the Southern actually ran into the West Country through Salisbury and into Exeter Central, and then through Devon and down into Cornwall. So it took quite a different route down to Cornwall, and there was a competition really as to who had the most powerful locomotive. Now when this one came out, it would have been probably the most powerful locomotive, certainly in the 460 format. Now how Churchward arrived at the 460 format was that he carried out a number of trials on locomotives. In fact, he brought over a couple of French, I think they were 442 Atlantics, but he tried them, but he decided that the 460 configuration was probably going to be better. Now that probably again is a question of adhesion. Okay, 6 coupled wheels are going to grip the track a lot better than 4. Okay, now the actual locomotive you can see going around now, the model, is a tender driven model. And as you can see, now that it's had a chance to warm up a little bit, it's running absolutely perfectly, no problem with this whatsoever. Now the Saint class set the actual foundation for all the rest of the 2-cylinder 460 locomotives of the Great Western Railway. So from this would have sprang the Hull class, the Manor class, the Grange class, and then finally the County class, which was designed by Hawksworth. Now it wasn't the 440 design, which was earlier. It was actually a design that came out later, which was another 460. Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to have a look at her in just a moment. You can see we can zoom out a little, perhaps have a better look at her. Now this one is really nice model, in my opinion. There we are. Now we've got it around now. Now we can move the camera around to the edge of the track. One of the advantages of it being on a gorilla pod, a little bit less steady, but when I'm hand holding, but we can see now. There we are. So we're in focus on the locomotive. There's a wire in the way there slightly, so we'll just move that down to one side if we can. There we go. And you can see it's in lovely lined green livery. See the coupling rods there, and the valves, the buffer, and everything else. It would have a moulded dart on the actual smoke box there, but that's something which you would have had on locomotives of this age from about up to the 1980s. Got the copper cap chimney, brass safety valves, cover, and the whistles. And the similarity is within the cabs. You can see. Bring around a little bit more. No side window. You've got the C-shape cut out. I can see that's something which was carried on from the Deane era. Similar size cut out in the cab. So these cabs are offered a little bit less cover than some of the later locomotives designed by Collett, for example. And I think some of the locomotives actually employed a canvas cover to try to give some additional cover to the locomotive crews. The reason why it's got the large coal out there is to accommodate the Ringfield motor. Okay, so that is our Hornby St David, and we can see if we can zoom in on the nameplate there. St David. What a lovely locomotive. Now there is another other Saint class models that were out around about the same time, sort of running into the 1980s, early 1990s. One of them is Clevedon Court, which is in black BR livery, early livery. I think there's another one called St Catherine. Okay, but I'm not sure if anybody's actually making a model of the Saint class at the moment. And you can see now that it's had a chance to warm up, see it coming around the curve at the top now. It's running much better now. There we are. It was just now when I first bought some of these models, they were second hand from eBay during the lockdown, and some of them were running, but they were a little bit arthritic. I mean, some of them probably been stood still for a long time in their boxes, and so they took a little bit of oiling and a running to get them running properly. Now you can see the other view of the other station now. You can see our train racing through the station, possibly on its way to the West Country. Now St David covered over 2 million miles before finally being scrapped in the mid 1950s, I think around about 1953. I think there was possibility put forward, an idea put forward that one of these Saint classes would be preserved. Clevedon Court was almost preserved by the owner of Clevedon Court itself, but that one ended up being scrapped, unfortunately, although the nameplates remained at Clevedon Court. And St David, a decision was just simply made to let her go because she was on such a high mileage, and I think she was in rather worn out condition by the time that the mid-50s had come around. But very, very useful locomotive and served the Great Western Railway very, very well. Now the coaches you can see on here are all Hornby, except the maroon coach you can see over on the other train there on the back of the Dean goods. Okay, all the other coaches are Hornby, but the coach you can see on the back of the Dean goods there in the other station are mainline. And then these locomotives were then superseded by the Star class, which Churchill had also designed, which is a 460 4-cylinder locomotive. And then when Charles Benjamin College became the chief mechanical engineer in 1922, then his express passenger locomotives were the Castles and the Kings. Again, the Castle, at the time it was built, was the most powerful locomotive, trumped by the King Arthur, hence there was the King class built. So these were built very much as a need for extra load carrying capacity, extra speed, traction effort, and you could put in your publicity brochures that you were going to be pulled on the Great Western Railway by the most powerful locomotives available. Now we're going to pull the train in just a moment. Now something which doesn't always get a mention, what is going to get a mention now, are these coaches. These are 3 Hornby coaches. Now the front 2 are currently available, as far as I'm aware, in the Hornby Railroad range, and I bought these in the Hornby Railroad range. The rear brake coach is one which I bought in the 1990s. Now the only difference is is that I think there's a slightly different wording on the side, and the decoration of the door handles is different, but really in effect they're the same coaches. So that's from the Hornby Railroad range. One advantage that these Hornby Railroad range coaches do have as well is that they're slightly shorter than some of the more regular coaches, and that has great advantages on a layout this size. Okay, so we'll just bring it forward, and you can see there, gone are the clerestory windows up at the top, which we saw on the earlier Deane coaches. Now I know for some people the 460s which are tender powered. In fact, all of the locomotives are tender powered by Hornby to get a bit of a bad press. But I don't mind them. I don't mind tender powered. I mean, if it means I can get the locomotive that I want, tender power doesn't matter to me too much. Okay, so we're just watching whizzing through the station. We might have time to just see one more train. And we're going to see a train again that we haven't seen for a while on my layout. So round comes St David, and we're going to pull her in just a moment. Now we've only just seen the Deane goods in another video, so I might not feature this one tonight, but we're going to feature the other locomotive you can see to the left of it. We'll just bring the camera around. Probably see it there, the tank engine, okay? And we'll have a look at that one. Okay, so we're going to just put this one into the station now. And we're going to go handheld into the station. Okay, so I'm actually filming this now handheld, so it might be a bit wobbly. That was a feat of eye-to-hand coordination, trying to hold the tripod steady and control the controller with my left hand. But there we go. You can see the two trains in together now. The express locomotives are really one that was came out in the Victorian era, Lorna Doone, the fantastic, lovely, graceful Lorna Doone, and the wonderful Saints class Saint David there. Okay, family resemblance in the chimneys, the safety valve covers. You can see the different coaches, the clerestory coaches under Deane, and the non-clerestory coaches which are by Collett. Now, the next locomotive we're going to see then is the one over in the far corner there, if we've got enough time to fit it in. Okay, so we'll just do this in just a few moments. We need to do a quick change of points. Changes to reverse gear, and we'll see her pulling out of the station hopefully. Here she comes. Now this locomotive is one which I bought pre-lockdown. And it differs from all the other locomotives I normally show, in that this is basically a Midland design locomotive. It's an Ivatt tank engine. By Bachmann. But these, after nationalisation, were seen quite often on the western region of British Rail. And in fact they could be seen on the Strawberry line, which went to Cheddar. And then I believe that once the western region of British Rail had taken over the Somerset and Dorset, they could be sometimes seen on the Somerset and Dorset Railway. Certainly a couple of these pulled one of the last trains ever to run on the Highbridge branch of the Somerset and Dorset. That would be from Heathercreech Junction to Highbridge and on to Burnham-on-Sea. Now this is a split chassis locomotive, as far as I'm aware. I bought this in the early 2000s, if I remember rightly. And we'll see if she is. I will confess, I only have never taken the body off a couple of times. I don't remember the last time I took it off. Yeah, she would appear to be a split chassis locomotive, looking at the repair leaflet. Now I think that these were the foundation for one of the BR designs, which was the Class 2 tank engine, the standard tank engines, which would have been seen on British Rail as well. This one is in BR black livery. I'm going to bring her in to have a quick look at her. There we are. Let's just handheld the camera around and we'll take a look at her. She's in black. Okay, you can see it's a 262. Distinctive coal bunker at the back. Very different design to a Great Western Railway locomotive, but like I say, they were seen on the western region of British Rail. Because see, it's got the lovely red lining on it. I don't think they've got sprung buffers. No, I don't think they had them back then. But this is one of my best running locomotives that I have in my collection. Okay, so that's a quick look at 3 locomotives which have appeared on my railway tonight as part of my running session. I'm going to end it here. If you like what you see, press like and subscribe and ring that bell. Thank you very much for your interest. Thank you for watching. I shall bid you farewell and goodbye. Thank you very much.